Stadium Drive Week 12, second round of the Ohio High School football playoffs here on the Storied Rivals Podcast Network. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we really appreciate you making us part of your day. Will Ford here, and this week we are live at Granville High School for the Blue Aces hosting the Tri-Valley Scotties, the MVL Big School Division champion Scotties and the LCL Buckeye Division champion Blue Aces doing battle. Huge matchup in the Division III playoffs. And that's where we're going to be this Friday night. And we already have an episode out on YouTube and Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast with head coach Cam West of the Scotties and Wes Schroeder of the Blue Aces to get you hyped for that Division III playoff matchup. And again, we'll be live there on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube this Friday night at Granville High School. But we wanted to feature another game on our show this week, and we're going to be in Division 5, and we're with the Heath Bulldogs as they travel to number 1 Ironton. The Bulldogs are the 9 seed in these playoffs, and this is Division 5, Region 19. And Heath last week against number 8 seed Portsmouth West won 27-15. They were down 9-0 in the second quarter, but outscored 20-6 in the second half. And they showed a lot of resilience, and defense forced 3 turnovers in that game. Braden Bayless had 4 total touchdowns. Daylen McIntyre all over the field, 90 yards receiving, a touchdown, had a sack, blocked an extra point, tipped a pass that led to an interception. The Heath Bulldogs showed a lot of resilience, a lot of grit, a lot of fight, and comeback victory against Portsmouth West to move on to round 2 of the playoffs. And their tough draw continues. You know, they were an 8-2 team, league champion, and, you know, get placed as the 9 seed, get a tough draw with number 8 Portsmouth West, and now gets even tougher going to the number 1 seed Ironton. The thing that works in Heath's favor is that Portsmouth West and Ironton are actually not that far away from each other. So really, you know, it's a 2.5-hour drive for Heath to go to Ironton this week, and it was about the same to go to Portsmouth West last week. So the travel, I don't think, is going to be as much of a factor, and I talk about that with head coach Tim Ward on this episode here today. But this Ironton team, difficult to handle offensively. Shaun Terry is an 1,100-yard player, all-purpose yards as a wide receiver. They have a very skilled and elite running back in Zayne Williams, 5'8", 185, who is just a big play threat. They've got a lot of guys offensively that can do a lot of different things. And so the Heath defense really stepped up last week, and they're going to have to step up even more and play even more above themselves this week to be competitive with this Ironton team, who's really good. Both these teams are really good, and it's going to be such a good game to watch. But talking to head coach Tim Ward about the resilience of his team last week, battling back from a 9-point deficit, the defense just stepping up, playing really well. Daylen McIntyre, I think, is one of the unsung heroes of this football team this year. You know, we talk about Braden Bayless, you know, all season long as their quarterback, Connor Toomey, and some of the other guys they have on offense that just make tons of plays. But Daylen McIntyre, he's carried the ball out of the backfield. He's a receiver, plays excellent defense, and is all over the field, tips passes, gets to the quarterback. He really does it all, even blocked an extra point last week. And so we talk about his play this season and just his makeup as a football player and as a person. And then prep for this Ironton team and what it's going to take to knock off the number 1 seed in Division 5, Region 19. So great stuff with head coach Tim Ward, and we'll hop into that now here on the Storied Rivals Podcast Network. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, we're here with head coach Tim Ward of the Heath Bulldogs going into round 2 of the playoffs, week 12, and in week 11 defeating Portsmouth West 27-15. And coach, really appreciate your time being here on our show this week. And in week 11, you had a 9-point deficit in the second quarter, outscored though 20-6 in the second half. Talk about the resilience of your team in that game to come back, battle back, and and your defense forcing 3 turnovers to really set up your offense with shorter fields and just, come out of week 11, round 1 of the playoffs with a win.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a little bit early, but I mean, there was never a time where I felt like we were down and out. We knew that we were in a situation where it was going to be a good game and a dogfight, and I mean, our guys just showed a lot of heart and a lot of desire, and like you said, resilience. I feel like when you have athletes on the field that we have, we're never out of it. So.
Daylen McIntyre is, I feel like, kind of been one of the unsung heroes for your team this year. And in the game last week, 90 receiving yards and a touchdown. He had a sack. He blocked an extra point, tipped a pass that led to an interception. And I feel like he's just been doing that all year for your team, catching passes. He's been running in the backfield as well, and then just all over the field defensively. But what do you make of just his effort this year, offensively, defensively, being all over the field? And he's made a ton of plays for your team, and I feel like he doesn't get a lot of the recognition like some of your other guys do, like your quarterback Braden Bayless and a lot of these guys.
The kid's an absolute stud, first of all. I mean, not only a stud of a football player, but a stud of a human being. I mean, he buys into everything that we're trying to preach. He is a great team player. He comes excited, ready to work every day, always having fun, always has a smile on his face. And so he's just a fun kid to coach to begin with. But when he puts on the pads, man, he plays at a different level. He's an aggressive, physical football player, extremely athletic, plays from the defensive line, and makes plays all over the place. Has the speed and the athleticism to be able to run anybody down. Can get down the field, can run jet sweeps, can run out of the backfield. Yeah, I mean, does just a little bit of everything for us. Even returns kicks for us. I mean, got 2 kick returns for touchdowns this year. So yeah, I think he is a little bit of an unsung hero. Maybe a guy that doesn't quite get the recognition that he deserves. But I mean, we got those guys all over the field, and he's just one that continues to make plays and play his heart out every week.
Now you kind of have a tough draw with your postseason run here because you've got a trip to Ironton next, the number 1 seed, and it's a 2.5-hour drive, which obviously that's probably a lot further than than you would ever travel for a regular season game for the most part. So does a trip that long on a Friday for a playoff game, does that affect you in any way, affect your team in any way, as far as like physically, like you sit on a bus for that long, 2.5 hours, and you're just raring to go, ready to play? But does a trip that long affect your guys in any way?
It does somewhere, but we prep our guys for that kind of stuff. We talk to them throughout the week and give them the heads up that it's going to be a long trip. I mean, when you look into this Friday, we're going back basically 15 minutes away from where we just were this past Friday. So now, I mean, our guys know if we want to go to where we want to go and we want to try and ever get an opportunity to play in Canton, we're going to have to drive. We're going to have to ride bus rides and things like that. Not everybody can be a county game, and I think we kind of get spoiled a little bit in Licking County because we have 11 really. We kind of get spoiled in that fact that we get to play a lot of close games. But no, I mean we'll play anybody. We'll travel anywhere we need to, and that's kind of the mindset that we try and take into it.
Now, your defense will have to step up again this Friday because the Ironton's got some good guys on offense. Shaun Terry has 1,100 all-purpose yards as a wide receiver, and their running back Zayne Williams, he's only 5'8", 185, so a smaller guy, but he's a big play threat. Defensively, what are you doing to prep for what those two guys do? Because obviously you got to have everybody's got to account for them. You got to have guys gang tackling, following the football. What do you do defensively to match up against what they do and force turnovers like you did last week against Portsmouth West?
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 answers to that, and the first answer might be a little bit cliche, but we worry about focusing on us, what we need to do to get better. We talk to our guys about things that they can do to improve from week to week. We're not changing a whole lot. We're doing what we do that's made us successful so far, and trying to get better each and every day. And so our guys have really adopted that approach and have bought into that aspect of what we're trying to do to them, and trying to preach to that fact that the team that matters the most for us is us, and getting better every day. But then, obviously, their team, and they've got athletes all over the place. They've got guys that they can get the ball to. Obviously, Shaun Terry, like you said, and Zayne Williams. But I mean, Ayers Pittman and all those guys as well. They've got guys all over the place that can make a play. But the great thing about football is only one of them have the ball in their hands at a time. So whoever's got the ball, you got to go make a tackle. I mean, it gets that simple. And so we got athletes all over the field as well. So we're going to try and match up with them.
Well, go pull off an upset against the number 1 seed this Friday, Coach. We really appreciate you joining our show this week and really spending time with us all season long. But best of luck. Go get a win. Keep making this deep run in the playoffs, man. And yeah, we really appreciate the time.
That's the plan. I appreciate you, and go